Alright, sorry. Hello everyone, welcome to the second episode of NixCast, a weekly podcast about video games and other nerdy items. Tonight, we're down to 3. Kyle, what's up, man? What you been doing, playing, whatever this week? How's it been going?
Been pretty good. It's been a pretty good week. I played some Jenny LeClue Detective Vu on the Switch. That was on sale, so I picked that up. It's a fun little adventure game. Played some Among Us with my kids, because that's always, I don't know, Among Us, I'm genuinely enjoying it the more I play. I did try out
I feel like it gets better when you, like, learn the map and stuff. Because then you can, like, actually make good lies and stuff, versus just saying, you know, it wasn't me.
I'm not good at that part. My kids are like, oh, well, I was like, I had it in 15 seconds. They're like, oh, we need to up it to like 45. I was like, okay, but
yeah,
okay.
You need more time to fabricate the lies.
Yeah, I'm not good at that. I did play the Control demo this week on Switch, so we'll talk a little bit more about that later on.
Yeah.
Animal Crossing, I wrapped up all getting my spooky stuff for October, so I'm probably going to put that down for another few months until Christmas stuff, maybe? I don't know, we'll see. Chex Quest HD, because I wanted to see if it lived up to the hype, and it's pretty fun. Old school first-person shooter, man. And some Watch Dogs Legions, but we can get into that later.
Alright, Mike is without a camera tonight for whatever reasons. Mike, how has your week been? What you been up to?
Oh, my week has been fantastic. I've been playing a lot of games, like my normal Assassin's Creed. We got Last of Us 2. I've been playing a lot of guitar with Ellie, learning my chords, you know, my circle of fifths, you know, all my scales, my arpeggios. Just doing it up on some Last of Us 2. Did a little bit of Tony Hawk, and I also played some Watch Dogs as well. Got through the intro and just finished posting a video on that. Really enjoying everything so far, but been so busy I haven't even had a chance to check out Mando Season 2, so I'm feeling like a little bit left out of everybody's conversations. But other than that, that's it.
No spoilers. No spoilers. So good, though.
So good.
That was... It's what I've been wanting since they started a Mandalorian series. That's all I'm going to say.
The whole episode was one giant fan service. And Kyle didn't even realize it.
No, thank you, Katie, for pointing that out. I got a lot of it, but thank you, Emergency Awesome, for showing me Easter eggs afterwards.
Alright, for me, I've actually kind of had a pretty slow week as far as video games, but I've had a pretty slow week as far as how many video games I've played, especially compared to you guys, but I played a little bit of Genshin Impact. This is my first time playing it. It's actually decent. Like, I can't believe it's free. I haven't really gotten into any of the, like, gacha mechanics, though, but it's not my only free-to-play game that I play, so I'm, you know, kind of, you know, I know how to avoid them. But it's good. It's you know, I expected it to... It's just weird, because this is the second week in a row that I played, like, a Breath of the Wild clone, you know? Like, I played Immortals Phoenix Rising demo last week, so... It felt different enough from Breath of the Wild. Like, the art style is still kind of similar, but other than that, there's not really that many similarities between the two. It was fun. It was fun. What I played of it was fun. I only played like a couple of hours, but and then I am finishing up Uncharted Lost Legacy, which is arguably the best Uncharted. I don't know. It's hard for me to pick like my favorite. I don't know if you guys have played all of them, but
I've just played the first two. And some of the third one, I never finished it.
I think the third one might be my favorite just because of the mechanic where you could pick up grenades and throw them back at people.
Yeah.
Which then they proceeded to take away in the fourth game for some reason. But I do like the fourth one as well. I like that they add like auto aiming. Because I suck at video games, so and then they kept that in Lost Legacy. It had some cute little puzzles and stuff too. It was good stuff. And you got this like artifact that like makes a sound in your controller every time that you get near a treasure. So now I'm not missing as many treasures as I did the first time.
Oh,
got some
nice.
silver trophies on it this time. I hardly ever get silver trophies, but yeah. And then this might be a little. I'm gonna try to make this not the longest story in the world. For those of you that don't know, I was not allowed to have video games growing up, which is part of the reason why I suck at them. But for my 11th birthday, my mom said, okay, I'll get you a Game Boy Advance. And I was like, oh my god, yes, thank you! The only game that I asked for was Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith for Game Boy Advance. I was obsessed with Star Wars. I still am. This was my first of many Star Wars phases until I stopped having phases and just, embraced being a Star Wars nerd for life. And I wanted that game so badly. And I opened my present expecting to get it. I had like a pool party. My birthday's in June, so I had like a pool party. And I was so excited because I was like, got the Game Boy. And I was like, yeah, finally a Game Boy. Because all my friends had them and I wanted, a Game Boy. And then I opened up the games. My grandmother got me one or something. And then I was like, where's Star Wars? My mom's like, well, it was rated E10+, so I decided not to get it for you. This was my 11th birthday. I still hold this over my mom's head to this day. She doesn't feel bad about it. She's like, I didn't think you were ready. I'd already seen the movie. Like, how much more violent could a Game Boy Advance game be than the movie? Which was PG-13, I think. Pretty sure. It had to be.
Pretty sure I've had my kids
It had to have been.
Yeah, like E10's nothing. E10's nothing.
E10+. No, E10... I was 11! Okay. So I was at a used video game store yesterday. And I have never bought a sealed copy of a game ever because there's no point. I want to play the games. But the thing is, I know nowadays that this Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith is not a great game.
But you got it.
I have a sealed copy of Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith for Game Boy Advance. Suck it, Mom. And that's the end of it. That's the end of the rant.
Mike, you never had a Game Boy Advance, did you?
No, but I do think we have our show title. Suck it, Mom. I'm loving that.
I had one in college, Katie. If you want to make this feel weird, I had the. Was yours the big Game Boy Advance or the foldy one?
It was the Advance SP. I actually still have it.
It's the clamshell one, right?
It's the foldy one.
Yeah, I had one of those. I had a thing in college, dude, and I got Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced.
Mm-hmm.
Loved that game. Oh, I love that game.
Didn't have it back then.
Yeah.
The games I ended up having were like the Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed, the live action Scooby-Doo movie, the game based off of that. It was actually pretty fun. And I ended up getting Lego Star Wars, which wasn't really the same, but that was a good game too. Yeah. Besides the fact that it was like isometric or whatever, but Oh
yeah, it would have to be, wouldn't it? That's because that's right.
Because, I had friends that had Lego Star Wars on GameCube, and I was like, oh yeah, I love Lego Star Wars. I'm so good at this game. I've been playing on my Game Boy Advance and stop, and then they pull it up on the GameCube. And I was like, this is not the same game at all.
Same game at all. Yeah, that's back when they had to do that.
And then I'm like,
they still do that.
At Target, like on the GameCube kiosk at Target, while my mom's shopping, like trying to play Lego Star Wars. I was like, it isn't the same. But yeah, I had a very complicated childhood. But yeah, got this game, very excited about it. I've never bought, I don't think I've ever made a purchase out of spite before like that. And it wasn't expensive. It was like $30 for a sealed Game Boy. But it's in good condition considering these boxes are like cardboard. Like, I can't really show it because it's just gonna reflect, but
yeah.
I'm just like looking at the box art and I can't stop smiling. It's fantastic. This is the only thing I've ever wanted. I can die happy now. I really need to buy an unsealed copy, though. I need to buy an unsealed copy so I can play it.
But you don't.
But I don't, because
You don't.
it's like, when are you gonna play a Game Boy Advance? We do have the one of the rarer things in my collection is the Game Boy player for the GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
So the actual part that goes on the bottom of the GameCube is not rare, but the disc, the startup disc, is super rare. It's like $150 to $200 for it. Not only do I have the disc, I have it in its original box with a sleeve that goes over the box.
Dang,
and we were telling the guy at our local video game store that, and he was like, I've never seen the sleeve before. This guy's had a used video game store for 20 years. I've never seen the sleeve. Maybe not 20 years, that seems 10 years. Never seen the sleeve. It's just rare as can be. Alright. Well, that's it for intros. Let's get into some news this week. Oh boy. Alright. Phil Spencer says he wants to add more single-player experiences and hints at more acquisitions for Xbox. So for those of you that don't know, Phil Spencer is the president of Xbox over at Microsoft. Xbox has made some pretty huge purchases recently. Huge. Including ZeniMax Studios, which houses Bethesda, which you will know from Fallout and Skyrim and the other Elder Scrolls games, which are, single player experiences, which is kind of where Sony has been kicking Microsoft's butt for the past couple years. So we're all 2 console at least households, but I have seen, for the people that are not 2 console households, like which one they have depends on which type of gamer they are. If they're going to be playing the Call of Duties and the Maddens and the NBA 2Ks, they're going to have an Xbox because they have a better online system. That's what all their friends have. But if they're into single player experiences, they're more likely to have a PlayStation. So PlayStation 3 was my first console that I bought for myself in 2014 or 15. The clearly the PlayStation 4 was already out, but I was broken in college, so I had to buy a PS3 on eBay. But I knew that that's what I wanted because I wanted first-person experiences. Like I said, I'm not good at video games, so I don't play very many online games. But this is huge for Xbox. Sony has been trying to catch up with the multiplayer side. They have some sort of special exclusive, partially exclusive deal with Call of Duty Cold War coming up. I don't like a map or a game mode or something that's going to be exclusive to PlayStation 5.
They've done that for a while, though. Even on the Call of Duties,
right.
Like there's a map that is exclusive to one for a little while over the other. So
PlayStation's making moves like that, trying to get people to play their multiplayer games on PlayStation, but Xbox is trying to catch up on single player experiences. One more thing, and then I'll let you guys talk. Did I lose it? Okay, so I think that we can all agree that we want cross progression to be the future. But I really do believe that cross-progression is going to be a thing, especially when we've seen, like, Epic Games and Ubisoft try to take this into their own hands and not leave it up to the consoles. So Xbox loses its footing if they're still focusing on their multiplayer gaming aspects, and you can play multiplayer against people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like...
Yeah.
If you don't have to play with your friends on an Xbox, then you don't necessarily need to have an Xbox. No. Like for me, the reason I originally bought my Xbox One is because I wanted to play with you guys. I wanted to play online with you guys, or I forget, Borderlands 3. Was that the first one? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that was the first one. And I like my Xbox now. I'm not gonna say it. I love all my consoles. But I I wouldn't have gotten it if there had been cross progression. I just would have bought Borderlands 3 on my PlayStation 4 and then still been able to play with you guys. With that being said, I do think that Game Pass is the best deal in gaming, and so that's a reason to have an Xbox, but sorry, somebody else talked. That was a lot.
No, and it doesn't surprise me that that's Microsoft moves. I mean, let's just talk about, like, the companies they've acquired. So, like, as most recently, Katie mentioned ZeniMax Media. I mean, Bethesda's a huge grab for them. That's massive.
$7.5 billion.
That is such a big buy. I mean, you're talking about that and them acquiring Obsidian before that. Like, Obsidian was 2018. They also get In Exile in 2018. Ninja Theory, Undead Labs, Compulsion Games, Playground Games, like they've been acquiring these studios for those first-person party games, and it's but they're not getting those single-player games. Like, they're not getting, like, that's where PlayStation crushes Xbox. Like, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Uncharted 4, Last of Us 2,
Death Stranding, Spider-Man,
Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, mind you, Death Stranding is on Steam now, and some of these have gotten to Steam, but they...
Horizon Zero Dawn is too. Yeah.
Oh, God.
God of War isn't.
Nier Automata was exclusive for a long time on PlayStation. It's not anymore. It was for a very long time until they came out. Exclusivity dropped, then it dropped on Xbox. But
anything Spider-Man.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Spider-Man. Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, I mean, and like those games are all amazing single-player games. Like, if you're, like you said, if you're playing with your friends, you're probably playing on Xbox. If you're just a guy who, maybe I'll pick up like a few titles, because I haven't even played through most of those PlayStation 4 games, just because I have a PlayStation 4. I think actually Mike's borrowing mine right now, but still, like, I bought it, I played Spider-Man. I played Last of Us 2 on it. I'm gonna play Final Fantasy VII Remake at some point. I'm waiting.
Persona 5.
Persona 5, yes. And see, that's one that you Katie and I have talked about this previously. I'm waiting for that to come out on Switch, because I really want it on Switch, because it's the portability for that one, man. I
just bust out the Vita, Kyle. Just bust it out.
I know, and I can bust out the Vita and play it on that, which is that the remote playing is great. But yeah, I mean, back to Xbox. I mean, this is smart. This is what they need, because Halo Infinity's coming. That's great, but like Gears of War and Halo are not driving their sales right now. They're just not. Like, and if they're all free on Game Pass, then like, it's like, that's why I like Game Pass, because I could go and play all the Gears of War games. I don't personally like the Gears of War games, so I don't, but I have the capacity to go do that, which is nice.
Xbox has realized their weaknesses and started making steps to overcome them. One, they don't have a market in Japan. Two, they don't have strong single-player experiences. And, they got Yakuza Like a Dragon exclusive for a little bit on the Xbox Series X.
I didn't realize that was exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's next-gen exclusive. So what it is the PS4 version and the Xbox One version and the Xbox Series X version are all coming out November 10th. The PS5 version isn't coming until March. So you can still get the PS4 version and play it on your PS5, but you're not getting the PS5 version until March. So that's
an
kind of where
RPG though, too, isn't it? That's not a traditional Yakuza game.
This one is going to be more like turn-based. I mean, I've never played any of the Yakuza games, but it's gonna be more like JRPG kind of. Yeah,
feeling. Where the other Yakuza games play more like
more like
GTA. Well, it's more like GTA.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, or it's very Shenmue, which is a very dated reference, but
I own the. Yeah. They released Shenmue 1 and 2 together on Xbox, and I own that game, but I've never played it. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Maybe the audience gets it. Let us know in the comments if you understand Kyle's old reference, or if you think he's too old to be talking about video games on the internet. Mike, you have any thoughts about
No, I completely agree with you guys. I think Microsoft sees the writing on the wall. because I got an Xbox just so I could play with all my friends, online. And I got a PlayStation because Spider-Man came out and I couldn't play it on. I couldn't play it on.
Yeah, Mike and I bought
Xbox.
we bought our PlayStation 4s the same day.
Yeah.
We bought the same PS4 from Walmart, different Walmarts, same day, and it was the day Spider-Man came out, and we all bought Spider-Man with it. Kyle bought the fancy Spider-Man.
I bought the fancy PS4 Pro because I'm never going to have another chance to have a console with a freaking Spider-Man insignia on it, so I had to have that.
But I mean, seriously, like, I bought it because of Spider-Man, and then I beat Spider-Man, and then I went back to my Xbox, and I didn't touch my PS4 until, I had a Last of Us game to play, and I played Last of Us on it, and it's just, that's what it was. But you're exactly right. If everything's going to be cross-platform online, there's not going to be a reason to get one over the other unless for the single player games. And it's good that they're realizing this now, because if they can come up with something with the quality of story that Last of Us has, or the beauty of the artwork that Ghost of Tsushima has, if they can come up with these kind of quality games, they're going to be able to stay relevant. But if they can't, they might go the way of the dodo.
Yeah.
Go the way of the Sega.
Go the way of the 100 other consoles that don't exist anymore. Yeah.
Well, there's no more Sega console, but Sega's still making the games.
Yeah, well, I think Microsoft would still. Well, I mean, Microsoft wouldn't go out of business if Xbox closed down. You know what I'm saying?
No. Well,
my
Atari
comparison
VCS
made
is
sense,
coming, so we all need to
goddammit.
watch out.
I don't want to talk about the Atari VCS today, okay?
Great segue to our next story.
Is it? I'm not even looking. No,
No, it's not a great
our
segue
next-
at all.
it's not a segue at all.
I was
Well, maybe
setting you
it'll get
guys up,
delayed,
and you're supposed to knock them down.
Oh, actually, I really do. I don't. Oh man, I meant to look this up. I'm pretty sure the Atari VCS got delayed again.
Fuck up.
I'm not kidding. I saw that on Twitter. I saw it on Twitter. I mean, obviously not everything you see on Twitter.
I'm looking.
Also, segue,
gonna-
if you guys are interested to follow us on Twitter, we have a Twitter. It's just at NixGIG. You can check us out there. I don't know what we're going to post on Twitter yet, but probably something entertaining.
Let us know what you
You
want us
find
to
it,
put on
Kyle?
Twitter.
Yeah, our social media coordinator will handle that for us.
Yeah, that's me. Just kidding. We're all on the same Twitter account.
No, I don't see anything about it, but I wouldn't be
I
surprised.
swear I saw that.
I
Okay,
absolutely
well,
believe you.
If the Atari VCS didn't get delayed, you know what did get delayed this week? Cyberpunk 2077. Womp womp womp. I need like a soundboard. That would have been awesome. Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed yet again to December 10th.
Yep. After going gold.
3 weeks after they already went gold.
Which
So we were
is
talking
nuts.
and we're like, when has that ever happened before ever?
I did
looked it
some
up.
digging. Yeah.
There's a couple games. GoldenEye Rogue Agent, which I had never heard of before, despite
Bad.
I have GoldenEye remastered on PS3. So the fact that I haven't heard of this GoldenEye game means something.
Bad. It's not good. They were trying to ride the coattails of that game, and I remember playing it once with my buddy, and like we played through like the gun mode like once, and I was like, this is fine, but it wasn't very good.
Seems like it needed to be delayed again.
It should have never been released. It was pretty
No.
bad. Army of Two was a delayed game.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that game. I'm not familiar with any of these games.
It was a co-op shooter on the 360, I believe. Looking at these dates, that tracks. Yeah, 360. It was fine. It wasn't a bad game. It wasn't great.
It was fine for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was one of those. Once you beat it, you're meh.
NBA Elite 11. Was scheduled to release October 5th, 2010, and then got delayed. Oh man, the PS3 copy is currently listed on eBay for $10,000. What the heck?
EA announced it was canceled after it was delayed.
Oh, that one got straight up canceled.
A limited number of copies made it out of the wild, though, and became highly sought after collector's items. That's crazy. I never even heard of that game.
Damn.
Yeah, if you want us to review it, just donate to our Patreon. No, just kidding.
Do we have a Patreon? We don't have
a Patreon, but we need one now so we can play this game.
Only if you want us to play that game.
Okay, Army of Two, Propeller Arena sounds lame as hell. Half-Life for Dreamcast. That seems interesting. Did this one get... Did that one ever come out?
Did it? I know they made a PlayStation 2 version, I'm thinking.
No, it got canceled.
Okay, yeah. I know there was a PS2 version, because I did have that at some point.
Weird. IGN received a review copy, and they thought that meant that it was about to get released because the game had gone gold, and then it got canceled. That's crazy. Interesting.
This last one I do remember, because I remember Thrill Kill. This is a original PlayStation game. It was
adult-only fighting game.
Yeah, you were gonna be able to like rip off limbs and beat the other people to death with them. It was gonna be so cool. There does exist copies of it in the wild. It was never released, but copies of like the beta and crap are out there on the internet to be played. The game was 99% done. Essentially, like, they got towards the end and, like, I think, because EA couldn't get past how violent it was. They were like, we cannot release this, because it was going to be adult only.
Another Night Trap issue.
Well, yeah, and I mean, they were going for, it was going to be adult only. Like, there was no question. It was not going to be a mature rated game. So, fun fact, though, is they took that game and reskinned the shit out of it and did release it. That game became Wu-Tang Shaolin style, and I have that somewhere. And that game was badass as hell. It was a 4-player fighting game. You could play as Wu-Tang. I loved it, man. Method Man had a big-ass hammer. He was my favorite to play through the game with. Super fun, dude. But, yeah, that's a really crazy game. Thrill Kill. Anyway. That's a fun one.
Yeah, so... And then we go on to get confirmation from the CEO of CD Projekt Red, which actually apparently should be pronounced Project Red, because the J's in whatever Scandinavian country they're in are pronounced as Y's.
Polish? I believe it's Polish.
Oh, that's not Scandinavia at all.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let me look.
Man, we're really uninformed this time.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure it's Polish.
No, I should have looked that up beforehand, but as soon as I saw the name, I was like, oh shit, I just realized that.
Yep, Polish.
I heard that.
Yep, they're Polish.
Polish. Okay. Okay, well, apparently in Poland, the J's are pronounced as Y's. Just like in many Scandinavian languages, that's Norway is the only one I can confirm. But
insert Monty Python news joke.
I don't know. I was really, really, really into Norse mythology for a while, like in 4th grade, I want to say. And I know how to pronounce the Norse god names, and the J's or Y's. That's all I got. Okay. Anyways. CD Projekt Red, I'll just keep saying. They, the CEO, Adam, I'm not even gonna try. I basically can't read, so,
Adam, that guy's name.
Any type of Kaczynsk. He was, and the board member who's got a really Polish sounding name. And some guy named Michael. Okay, this was
a whole bunch of important
people. So basically, the point is that they said that the current gen versions are the ones that are giving them problems, which makes sense because this game which is a very ambitious title that I cannot wait to get my hands on, is supposed to be able to play on the launch edition Xbox One. Like,
and PlayStation.
Yeah, but I feel like PlayStation's not as bad. Maybe that's just because I don't have a launch edition Xbox One. I don't know how bad they are, but for me, I feel like the leap between the Xbox One X and the Xbox Series X is gonna be just frame rate. But if you go back and compare like the original Xbox One
to the Series S
Xbox
and the
Series X, that's where you're gonna get the bigger generational gap. So,
yeah,
I think that this is gonna at some point they should have maybe just given up on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 version. I know that you can't ignore that install base because there's like 140 million PS4s or something like that, which is a lot. I have two. It's just but I think that this is where it comes in. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever thought about this before. CD Projekt Red is technically an indie developer.
Do they count as an indie developer? Because technically, aren't they supported by the Polish government? I feel like, I think they legit, like, I'm not kidding, CD Projekt Red, like, the Polish government gives them money. Like, it's part of, because they do, it's, The Witcher 3 made so much money for Poland. Like, I could be very off base on this, but I feel like there is money that the Polish government, like, it's part of, like, kind of like Canadian film programs and things like that. Like, there's like a Polish video game thing that's in part of their government that, like, gives them money. I could be very, very wrong on this. Like, it may have been
subsidized because there's not that many video game companies in Poland or Europe in general, for that matter, I guess.
Let me look this up.
Except for Ubisoft. But yeah, so I feel like because they are, I mean, here's what. So indie is just short for independent, right? They're not part of a big publishing house. They're independently published and independently developed. I think that this means that they probably don't get news from PlayStation and Xbox as soon as like EA or Ubisoft or Activision Blizzard would get that kind of information, and maybe they didn't know about the PS5 and Xbox Series X as soon as some of the other big publishers did. Maybe I'm way off base because I don't know, it's just hard to say because that game was supposed to come out in like April. So it's like they should have just released it in April and then next April done a PS5 and Xbox Series X version. But instead they're like, oh, well, it's coming out this year anyways. Let's just try to shove them together. And I feel like that's what's hurting them. And they're saying it's the current gen holding the back. But at a certain point, they made the switch to... Oh no, I have the hiccups. This is the worst day of my life. So at some point they made a switch to here, this game is going to be on next gen day one or soon to release date or whatever. And at that point, they didn't, divide their time well enough between the current gen version and the next gen version, and that's where we're at with another delay. And I saw some pretty bad stuff on Twitter, and I know it's not the social media team's fault, because I'm sure that they were told that this is the definitive release date and then it was not going to get pushed again, period.
It was gold.
But there was some guy... there was... This game might never come out. Which...
Well, but we're kind of approaching at this era where, I mean, we're talking about, we live in the world of day one patches. We live in the world of broken games coming out. I mean, that is just the world that we live in now, because it's so connected. Because it's, most people who are gaming have access to the internet. You're online with your Xbox. So, we can release a copy of Cyberpunk, and if it's busted, We'll just patch it. And I did look it up. So the Polish government gave CD Projekt Red $7 million in a grant to help make Cyberpunk. But anyway, that was what I was remembering. I knew they had gotten a large chunk of money from the Polish government because it's a Polish-made company. Witcher 3 made so much money. That's all money going into the Polish economy. Like, they did very, very well with that. So anyway, but we're not surprised. And what we haven't mentioned is Stadia, because Cyberpunk's coming to Stadia. That's probably an issue they're having as well, because that's supposed to be day one launch too, right? Yeah, so it's not like Stadia's coming after everybody else. They're supposed to come along right with everything else, and I guarantee that's not easy either. I mean, that's a whole nother level of tech they're having to deal with on that. And we're at that gap of cross-generation where we have, we're going from Xbox One to Series X, we're going PS4 to PS5, PC's just doing what PC always does and just existing. But it's definitely this time. I mean, this is the time where companies have to make those big decisions. Is, are we going to make it launch for everything? Are we making a copy here, a copy here, a copy here? But obviously, if the Xbox One and PS5, because they weren't really announced until, and I know devs know ahead of time, but still, I doubt they're not laying out the ground plan. It's not like Sony and Microsoft aren't sitting CD Projekt Red down and going, by the way, make sure that you can run a copy on this and it's going to be these specs and whatnot, because I don't feel like they're getting that information either. But
well, here's another point I want to touch on. Xbox is really kind of pushing the smart delivery thing. PlayStation hasn't named it, but they're essentially doing the same thing. But I think Xbox probably gave them some money for this. There's no way that they would just like, hey, we're not challenging ourselves enough. Let's go ahead and try to make the Xbox Series X version at the same time, and then make make that one accessible to everyone that bought the Xbox One edition of the game. There's no way they did that because out of the goodness of their hearts.
No.
Xbox definitely gave them money for that. So that's another thing. It's like that's another added hurdle for them to program around.
I am one of the people who have the original day one Xbox. Still, I didn't get an Xbox One X, or I didn't get an Xbox S, or I didn't get any of that.
I knew that.
So I pre-ordered my Xbox. I got day one. So I am just interested to see, because I do the same thing every time a new Xbox comes out, a new generation. I got a Series X on the way, so I am just interested to see, like Katie was saying, the difference between the original Xbox One and the Series X, the jump between that. And I think Cyberpunk is going to be, one of the best games to present to me the proof of how much better the Series X is than the original Xbox. I'm hoping that this game isn't going to blow up the original Xbox games, because for you guys who don't know, I had Avengers blow up my power supply whenever I got that day one, so had to buy a new power supply for that. So
it's not even worth killing the power supply for.
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
No, it wasn't. But I am interested to see the difference.
Okay, well, that segues us into one of our next topics about Watchdog Legions hurting people's Xbox One X's, or Xboxes in general. I haven't heard anybody say that their Xbox got blown up by Watchdog Legions, but there has been a lot of specifically Xbox-related bugs that I've heard about. So one of my friends, one of my Star Wars friends, I'll leave it at that. He also had a problem with Avengers, where he was playing and it kept shutting off because it would just get too hot and the whole system would just shut off. He didn't blow his power supply, but he couldn't keep playing and he wanted to. And, I was like, well, is it in, like, an entertainment system or something? Like, just take it out of the entertainment system. You can't have closed doors on these systems. They get too hot. And so he did, and then he didn't have any problems with it after that. But, seems like Watch Dogs Legion is having a similar problem. And the funny thing is that there is a mission, a campaign mission, that is, I shit you not, called 404.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
And it shuts your Xbox off.
It's the Xbox One X, it says on here. So it looks like it's just the One X's, which is insane. You wouldn't think...
That doesn't make any sense.
No, that doesn't make any sense. I would think that Mike's OG Day 1 Xbox, or I have a One S, and I would think it would be one of those that would struggle with that. And I haven't gotten this far, but...
Yeah, my issue was similar. My Xbox would shut off because it was getting so hot, and I'd have to keep turning back on. I wasn't, it wasn't in an entertainment center. It was on top of a table actually, and it would just keep getting shut off, and I was not gonna have it, so I was gonna play it until, it blew up and started smoking. But no, I haven't had that issue with Watch Dogs yet. I haven't got to that mention either. But if we do, we'll definitely do an entire story about the second time I blew my Xbox up.
I bought it for PlayStation 4 because I wanted to try out the Ubisoft Connect. But I didn't realize the multiplayer wasn't coming out till December. Now I kind of wish I bought it on the Xbox Series X so I can test out this 404 crash in your
And that point, Katie, that you just made about the fact that the multiplayer is not out at launch is one more point to link back to the things not being, like, day one, them just dropping a game and it being done and ready. Or how long did Red Dead take to come out with their online mode? Like, I was over Red Dead Redemption 2 by the time the online came on, and then I jumped on to try it, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. But...
yeah, I feel like Ubisoft kind of shot themselves in the foot with trying to release, like, 3 games back to back to back in, like, the launch window, like the holiday window.
Oh, yeah.
I think that this game probably could have used a delay, but they couldn't because then they risk pushing it back on top of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, or pushing it back on top of Immortals Phoenix Rising, or pushing it back on top of Far Cry 6, which did get delayed.
Or Cyberpunk.
They didn't want to compete with Cyberpunk.
We've already seen 2 developers push off that.
Oh, yeah. Good segue, Kyle. Path of Exiles has been delayed because of Cyberpunk's delay. Because they didn't want to compete against it, which is understandable. This game has so much hype behind it. I have never experienced hype like this, but I'm pretty young.
I don't think there's been anything hyped like this. There's been hype for games before, like GTA 5, massive hype leading up to that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
I will say, one of my friends did say when GTA, San Andreas, when that one came out, they had released, like, stills, and he would, like, spend hours of the day just looking at the stills, because that's the only thing he had to look at related to that video game. And he was just like, I cannot wait for this game so much that I'm just going to stare at these still shots for an hour.
Because Vice City did so well and was such a great game, and San Andreas just, was leaps and bounds above that, and then GTA 5. I mean, they just keep jumping.
4 than 5, but still.
But I mean, getting back to the point we were talking about, I think it's, that's a big decision because they're pushing it back to when are they pushing it back to January being their release date?
For which one?
Path of Exiles.
Path of Exiles? Yeah, and it's an expansion. So Path of Exiles already is out. It's not that this game isn't out. Path Path of Exiles is an action RPG a la like Diablo. It's been out for years. It's a free-to-play game, but their big expansion is coming out. That's the thing, and they still just don't want to compete with it. I mean, it's not
Right.
They're literally pushing it out past Christmas.
But that's the big deal, is they're pushing it out
Yeah.
but past Christmas because, they were probably looking for some Christmas money, like somebody just, saying, hey, here's a little something extra for Christmas, this expansion pack, and they're going to lose out on that because they don't want to compete.
And Rockfish Games has another game.
Didn't what's it called? World of Warcraft, their expansion got pushed too. I don't know if it was related.
I don't know.
But
I wouldn't be surprised if it was. I mean, it's 2020. It's been a difficult year for everybody. Obviously, everything's getting pushed out. Things are getting delayed. People are working from home. It's a different environment now. So I get that. But these specifically were pushed out because Cyberpunk got pushed, which is it's like releasing a movie. I mean, like,
yeah, it's similar to the movies. I was just thinking that
it's just like that. You don't put Superman out when you got a freaking Marvel movie coming out the same week. You don't try to compete with each other because it's stupid. It's why when you can wait a couple weeks and then have the box office to yourself. It's the same concept. I mean, but there's so much hype behind this game. I mean, that's what you're saying, Katie. I mean, my God, they're making Cyberpunk chairs, Cyberpunk phones, right? Isn't there a OnePlus M8 or something like that?
They made a Cyberpunk graphics card. They made a Cyberpunk Xbox One X, which I have. Which, if the game never gets released, that'll probably be a pretty cool collector's edition someday.
But it's
which is kind of why I bought it. But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, the hype's real, and I mean, like, from all the gameplay footage I've seen, it looks freaking amazing. I mean, like, I can't wait. It's just shut up and get in my veins.
You get to customize your genitals.
Your genitals, not your genitals.
Genitals.
Oh, I know. I saw that part. I was like, really? That's gonna be fun.
Like, I can't decide what's gonna be funnier if you give your dude a monster dong or like a little itty bitty one. Like, what's funnier? You're not
thinking broad enough scope here on this, Katie. You really need to expand your mind on this because it's not that you can just. I've expanded
my mind.
I understand, but it's not just that your dude can have a monster dong or a little dong, and not just that your chick can have huge boobs or small boobs. It's that you can make a person that has everything. Like, it's such a brilliantly wonderful thing of like that. I'm so happy that they're doing something like this because it's like it's a role playing game, and like I know Mike doesn't play as many role playing games as like Katie. I know you've played like Mike's never really gotten into Fallout and Skyrim and stuff like that. But like when you're playing those types of games, is you want to play something the whole point of a role playing game is to play something you can't do in real life. So it's like most of these games, I typically build women and play as women just because.
I do the opposite. Like, I build men most of the time.
But it's the idea of a role playing game. Like, that's the beauty of a role playing game is you get to play these things that you can't do in real life, or that you probably could, but it would really be really expensive. But yeah, I mean, it's that kind of stuff. I think it's great. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, I will say, during Star Wars Squadrons, did you play any of that, Kyle?
I didn't, but it's just because the last like fighter pilots. I'm really gonna date my ass here. The last Star Wars fighter pilot game I really got into was like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter on the PC in the 90s. It's really old, so. Yeah. Oh, dude, like it's ancient. But anyway,
I'm not a big fan of the space. Like, as far as like Star Wars games, that's not the part that I want to do. You know, like flying ships. That's not something about the Star Wars universe that I'm like, oh my god, I want to do that. For me, it's more like I want to be a Jedi or a Sith. You know, I don't really care about being a fighter pilot. You're gonna get blown up anyways. But you can select any of the voices for either character so they could like look male, have a female voice and stuff. I thought that was really interesting. Obviously, it's not as cool as customizing your genitals, but
it's not as fun as customizing your genitals.
We did have some fun with that one. Like we picked like the big surly dude and then gave it like the most feminine voice they had, and then did the opposite for the female.
Did you ever play Saint Rose 4? Saint Rose 4 did a lot of this stuff too, where you could do the same thing, where you could pick like, you could make your I think the breast sizes were the thing I remember that there was a slider for that, really big, really small. I can't remember if they had like everybody's always so weird about like male genitalia in gaming, and this has always confused me, where it's like, I've seen more boobs in a video game than I've ever seen like male junk, and like it's like, where's the love? Okay, we see some male junk in here. What's the same? Like, why are we hiding this? But whatever. But Witcher, maybe? Is there junk in The Witcher? I'm trying to think. Did you ever see girls dick in The Witcher?
I can't think of a single video game that has male genitalia in it. But I will say that like you also don't see any vaginas.
No. Well, if you go deep in PC games, I'm sure you can have them. That exists, but but I'm saying like as far as commercially released things, we typically don't see that. Like there is nudity. I've seen in more recent years, it seems like nudity is becoming more okay in games. Because I mean, we're adults. Like I can go rent a movie and watch, like I can watch a R-rated horror movie that is going to have some boobs in it at some point or whatever. Like, but like I always felt like games, like they kind of like hid them because games were always seen as like childish or whatever, but it seems like as Mike and I's generation are, we're the ones that were playing it 20 years ago. We're like, and there's all those hidden Easter eggs and crap like that, but it's kind of like that kind of thing. I think it's nice that it's finally being embraced, and like I think Cyberpunk's going to be a big shocker for a lot of people, because there's going to be a lot of stuff in there that I think is going to make a lot of people very uncomfortable. Potentially. It's all...
You love to see it.
Huh?
You love to see it. You love to see it.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I'm stoked for this game. It's the future.
I'm trying...
It's great.
You know what? The last game that I was, like, excited about anywhere close to this level was Outer Worlds, and I fucking hate that game. So I'm trying not to get my hopes up.
Yeah, I kind of want to go back and give that another shot, because Katie and I have talked about this, not on here before, like, we both really like New Vegas. Like, I'm a big Fallout 3
Favorite
fan.
game of all time.
I like 3 a little bit better than New Vegas. I appreciate New Vegas now, and I like New Vegas. It's a good game. It has a lot of things that I love, but 3 just has things that I feel like Fallout 3 is the most... New Vegas is definitely more traditional to all the storylines of the original Fallout 1 and 2. Like, New Vegas is the most continuity-wise, the one that makes the most sense in that universe, where 3 is, like, on the other side of the East Coast, and it doesn't really follow the thread of the first original games. But 3 just has stuff in there that, I don't know, there was just something about it. Like, this is pretty messed up, but, like, there's literally a cave that you can find that has a little village of children. And in the first 2 Fallout games, if you ever killed a kid, and you could in the first 2 Fallout games and in 3, if you ever kill a kid, it was just it was like a renowned thing in the first 2, where like you would go to places and people would not talk to you, people would run away from you because you were a child killer. I don't think they did that in 3, but you could go in and it was just interesting. And then in Fallout 4, they didn't allow you to kill children, which is, it's such a random... It doesn't matter, but it's just it's a thing that I remember them being like, that's weird that they would be okay with it in 3, but then New Vegas it wasn't in there, and 4 it wasn't in there, so it's like
I remember seeing any children in New Vegas.
I don't think there's any in 4. There are some in 4, but you can't kill them, which is it's such a random thing. It's not. I'm definitely not advocating child killing. That's not my point. It's just
an RPG, Kyle.
But it's an RPG.
You're role playing. It's fine.
If you are playing
not a
game
murderer. My character's a murderer.
And Fallout 3 has that though. Fallout 3 had the because Fallout 3 had an alignment system, right?
I think so. Yeah. I'm
trying to remember.
Like karma?
Yeah, karma. Yes, there was a karma system in Fallout 3, because you could be a total piece of crap in Fallout 3, and it would just be like building and building and building and building. But
I didn't play
Sorry,
very much of Fallout 3. Yeah, we're way off topic.
Way off topic, sorry.
I didn't play very much of Fallout 4 either, but I played more of Fallout 4 than I did Fallout 3. I started playing Fallout 4 and I was just like, this isn't New Vegas. I can't continue.
It's not.
But
But
like 10 hours in.
Fallout.
This is not New Vegas. Fallout 3 I
Fallout
played
4,
like 4 hours of. It's just hard to play because it's on the PS3 and it's stuck on the PS3.
Which one is?
Is there Fallout 3? Is there a 360 version
It's
of
on
that
Xbox.
that I can play on my Xbox
You can
One?
play it on Xbox. Yeah, you can totally play it on Xbox One. It's backward compatible.
I have to buy it again.
No, you won't. Just wait a little bit. They'll put it on Game
not for
Pass.
long.
They'll put it on. Don't you worry. Bethesda games are coming to Game Pass. Mark my words. You're gonna be able to play all the Dishonored games. That's another one that we didn't mention that was a
Dishonored
good
2 is
single player
already on
game.
there.
Was Dishonored and Dishonored 2.
Were they
They weren't exclusives,
Xbox
but we
owns.
were just talking about acquisitions, and that was one that
Right.
I played Dishonored, the first one. I think I beat it. I didn't play through the second
Heard good
one.
things about it. I own them both.
The aesthetic's really cool. I like the world. The lore's neat, but I didn't get into the gameplay mechanics very much because it's just a sneak murder game, which those get boring after a while.
Well, speaking of Game Pass, there might be a price change. This is just okay. So this is something that Phil Spencer, who we mentioned earlier, is the head of Xbox. This is something that he said, but I don't think that it's like it's not anything concrete. It's not like a if, or it's not a when, it's an if, kind of thing still. Basically they just talked about tiered subscription services through Xbox. So right now you have Xbox Live, and then you have Xbox Game Pass, and then you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which includes Xbox Game Pass for PC. But I have some thoughts on this, and I want to relate it to video streaming, like TV streaming, like Netflix, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I know Game Pass isn't streaming. xCloud is, but that's a different beast. So when Netflix first started the streaming thing, they were the only people that were really doing it, and they blew up. And then Hulu joined them, and then now it just seems like everybody has their own streaming service, and this is making the market very saturated with these subscriptions that you have to have, and also it's limiting the amount of content that are on each of these streaming services. So me, I have not Xbox. I have Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, of course, HBO Max. I just canceled my DC Universe because they're moving it all to HBO Max, and Disney Plus, and I think that's it. But now NBC's got their own
Peacock.
and it's just it seems like every single month there's a new network that's taking their stuff off of all these other platforms and making their own platform, and it's turning into cable.
Right? we're circling back to where we started.
And I'm concerned about this with Game Pass, because Game Pass, they're doing a very good job because they're consolidating EA Play with Game Pass starting November 10th.
So you just get EA Play when you have it, right? If you pay for Game Pass, EA Play is just free starting November 10th.
It's included.
Okay.
It might just be Game Pass Ultimate. I'm not sure.
Sure.
But I'm concerned that if you start doing tiered, to get the EA Play games, to get the Bethesda games, you have to pay a different price than you would for the rest of the Game Pass. I think that's very plausible, considering the price of the Bethesda acquisition, or the ZeniMax acquisition.
Sure.
I think that it's just hard because
it's like
my head around my thoughts, but
no, but it's like cable, right? It is so
right.
The way I'm thinking, the way that this is described, right? I get price hike, sure, the price is going to go up. We're talking about these tiered systems, maybe. I'm not against that necessarily because, like, okay, now I have a PC, I can play. I have Ultimate Game Pass, I get PC games and I get Xbox games. Cool, I have both. I can play both. Cool. With that, you also get the xCloud streaming. Cool. But for example, like let's say okay, they start doing different business model and cleaning things up, and they go, oh well, Katie and Mike don't have Android phones, so they're not going to use the xCloud service. Well, we decide, xCloud, if you want that, that's an extra $3 a month. It becomes like an a la carte thing, right? We're like, okay,
Yeah.
here's our list of things. Do you want Bethesda games? Check. Okay, that's another $5 per month. You want the EA games? That's another $5-6 a month, and it basically becomes like if you have Amazon Prime, for example, or any of these streaming services that have these sub subscriptions now. Like Prime's a perfect example. So, Prime has like BritBox.
Yeah.
And all sorts of other stuff like that. I don't subscribe to any of them just because, my lord, when you have, like Katie said, when you have all of these streaming services, do you really, do you really need this too? But if it's the stuff you watch, sure. I mean, that's kind of what it is. It's all about, I kind of like this, I'm kind of enjoying this business model now where it's, if they're tailoring it towards the things that you like and you don't watch. So, for example, like, I don't really watch like a lot of sports. I know Katie and Mike watch NFL and stuff like that. Like I know Prime's been having free games on there, right?
Thursday night games, yeah.
So Thursday night games are free. And see, I don't know this. I just see it pop up and I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool that Prime offers that, but I don't use that feature. So why should I? And it's kind of the thought process of, can I pay less and not have that? Because it's those kinds of things. But
because then you get back to like the cable thing, like it's paying. Yeah. This cable package and that cable package, and it's like it's not consumer friendly, and
but let's think about
Netflix. Netflix had two things that they had going for them that are no longer in streaming services. One of them is binging, and I can't remember the other one. I really am losing my mind. But binging is a big one, and now all of this, the things that they have over cable is what it is. No commercials, and you got the binging. So, but now all of these new shows that are coming, I don't know if Netflix is this bad about it, but like HBO, Disney, they're not releasing these shows all at once for their seasons. They're releasing them week by week by week, and now I can't binge watch this stuff like I want to. And it's like, what is the point? I should just have cable. But now it's like, you can't go back to cable because you have to keep paying for the streaming service because these shows are not on cable. They're on streaming services.
Yeah.
It's cyclical.
Mike?
And I just don't want, Game Pass to end up like that, where it's like, the reason I want to play Game Pass is because I want to download a bunch of games and then only ever play 2 of them. And then now, like, maybe with the tier that I'm in, they're going to start restricting how many games I can download at once or something like that.
Like, I don't see that being a thing.
Okay, sorry. Mike, you can talk. You've been awfully quiet today. Is this how it goes? Like, whoever doesn't have their camera on doesn't get to say as much? I feel like it's easier for me to talk to Kyle because I can see him. Is that the issue we're having, Mike, or am I cutting you off or leaving you out or anything?
No, I'm just... y'all just carry it, man.
Oh, me and Katie are good at running our mouths.
When it comes to Game Pass and all that jazz, I think it's... I don't know. I honestly wish it would just hurry up and get to this crossplay, where you can just buy a game from anywhere, play it on no matter what kind of console you get. With Game Pass, yeah, that's a subscription model you could get, but if you're like a lot of people out there and only, play whenever there's a certain game out, which is how a lot of people are. A lot of people just play like, the same 3 annual games that come out every year, and that's maybe all they play. It may be more economical for them to just play those 3 games, and they won't have to worry about Game Pass, and for daily gamers who play every single game, it would definitely be more economical for them to, do what you guys were talking about, maybe a Game Pass, maybe a subscription service where they could add tiers to it. So, I mean, I think it's coming, but I also like the option, where you could always just buy the game outright and play it on whatever console. So I think it's going to be what you guys are talking about, but you're always going to have options where if you just want to play one game, you don't have to buy everything.
I just realized that I've been using the word cross progression and crossplay interchangeably all night.
Yes.
I do know what the difference is. I just
Words
my
are hard.
brain goes faster than my mouth sometimes.
Words are hard, Katie. It's fine. We understand.
I want to play. I want to cross play. I want to cross play. I want to play with you. When you guys are playing on Xbox, I want to be playing on PlayStation because I like the controller better, and that's what I want.
Speaking of cross progression, this is just a minor note. I didn't realize this. I had installed Portal Bridge Constructor on my PC because I was like, I started playing it on my Xbox, but I just thought this would be a better game for that. You all right, Katie?
She's dying.
But there was cross progression in that. It loaded in my save file for my Xbox. I didn't expect that, and I was kind of surprised by that. Yeah, that's what I said too. I don't know how many games do that.
Amazing.
But I was
amazing.
Very topical. Yeah. It's good stuff though. But yeah, I could see it, but I could see the benefit of being able to pick stuff a la carte too. Like EA, for example. EA, that's great that I'm getting that. I can think of like 3 games I'll probably play and never touch again.
Plants vs. Zombies.
Plants vs. Zombies, Mike, I will play with you. Garden Warfare is way too much fun. I love that stupid game. It's so much fun. It shouldn't be that fun.
Jedi Fallen Order?
Oh, I do need to play that at some point. Yeah, you have been riding me to play that for a long time. I need to get on that one.
It's good.
It's on my list.
I think you'll like it.
It's
like Uncharted, but you're a Jedi.
See, and I thought it was like Dark Souls, and that's why I've been avoiding it like the plague. So
I mean, no, the combat is kind of like, yeah, here's your heavy attack, here's your light attack, here's your force power. They have like guards and stuff,
but
like
it's not brutal.
Like they have like a stamina bar, and you got to knock them down. But I just put it on Padawan mode, and I didn't have any problems.
That may be what I do.
There's a difficulty.
There's a
difficulty slider.
Fly through the game.
So
I just want to see the story.
If you're
guys.
someone that does, you just want to have fun.
Nothing
like,
wrong with that, man. I don't.
There's
some
wrong,
games.
like,
no. Yeah.
No.
You don't have to play Last of Us 2 on hard mode, Mike.
Yeah, Mike. I tried to go back and play Last of Us 1 on easy, which is above story, and I couldn't do it. I had to go back down to story. Last of Us 1, which I'd already played before. I can't, like... Kyle, you got some fun, neat things you want to talk about?
Yeah, these are fun. Okay, so... starting off, the problem, anybody who does retro gaming may or may not be aware of this. So the old light gun systems, especially the light gun for the Nintendo Zapper, and as well as I think Genesis had the Menacer, and the Super Scope was on the Super Nintendo. So just 3 old school light guns that were used for home use. So the way that this technology worked is it was all based off the CRT TVs, the cathode ray tube TVs, which they don't work on modern TVs because the entire thought process, the entire technology behind them is when you shoot, a little laser's fired. It's like an IR light that hits it, bounces back off the TV, is read inside the gun, and that registers things. So it registers like the way that like it all is how like the cathode ray tube does it. It's bouncing off of it. It has to do with how the frame rate drops and everything. So it's all these things that if you try it on a current TV, the technology isn't there to do it. So what a guy did is he 3D printed and massively re-rigged a Super Scope, and he also had to add in 4 lights onto the TV to kind of help bounce back those signals from it. But he did do an entire rebuild on this thing, and now he can use it. Now he has a Super Scope that works on like a current new gen LED TV. It's just an interesting random article that I thought was fun.
Yeah, we have a game. I have a game room in my house. It's supposed to be a bedroom, so it's not big enough for a game room. But we do have 2 TVs in there. Neither of them are CRTs. We've been debating getting a CRT for years. just because, like, honestly, the retro consoles just look better on them. Because even though we have, like, everything hooked up to, like, most of them, we got the RGB SCART cables, which are the European exclusive cables, but they use the RGB signal, which is better than the composite signal, which is the red and the yellow and the white. So we have a bunch of those. So most of the retro consoles are using SCART, and then we have these little, like, cheap Chinese, like, SCART to HDMI converters. And then those just plug into the TV. So, but even then, it's like such a hassle because we've bought several of these SCART converter boxes, like 4 of them. We've only gotten 2 that worked. So one of them worked but didn't have sound, and the other one just didn't work at all. And then it's like the listing on Amazon's not there anymore, and they're like hard to find. It's like they really want you to buy like all these other things that, you know, are kind of made for this. And it's like, yeah, I want to spend $100 to buy this converter box, but at the same time, like, that's more than I paid for the Super Nintendo, you know. I do have the Eon converters for the GameCube and the Nintendo 64. The GameCube one's awesome. The 64 one's kind of meh. But they do the job of getting HDMI out of those consoles. But where was I going with this? We want to have a CRT TV, but it's like the good ones are like getting harder and harder to find. And also we just don't have room for it.
Well,
they're so
big. Yeah.
That like it's like this. You
I remember
like the smallest one. It's like, I mean, I remember too, but it's just like, man, I didn't even think about it. Like my house oh boy, I almost knocked my microphone over. My house growing up, we had like in the living room, we had, you know, at some point we got a flat screen TV, and that was like a huge deal, you know. And the TV that used to be in the living room, we've got moved up to like the finished room over the garage, the frog, and like we had that TV, the fat CRT TV, up there until my parents just moved out of that house, and they just got rid of that TV. Like, so you know, it just it's jarring to me to think about that. Yeah. So like I had one all throughout high school, even though flat screens were already out, and now I haven't seen one, you know, since I graduated high school. And it's just like, man, I see those things like, man, I forgot how heavy and big and fat these things are, and they're just a pain in the ass. So next house maybe we'll have one, but not this one. No room.
Yeah, and like I said, the only reason you really need it is and like you said, they do look. Because even like I was playing on the Switch the other day, playing the Super Nintendo games on my Switch, and it has the CRT filter. I just kind of threw it on just to like, see how it looks.
Yeah, scan lines.
Yeah, and like I know like ZSNES emulator way back in the day used to have all those scan lines added in and stuff and whatever. It's fun, but man, that crispness is just, I'd rather play it looking great. It's like, yeah, it's still not at least a look, but it looks a lot better now. Yeah, that's all I had on that. Another fun random little thing is someone has built a Lego micro game inside Unity. So Unity is a development kit used to make games. You can download dev kits. There's tons of things to learn out there. You can program your own video game in Unity, and it's been used to make a ton of games. Like Overcooked coming to mind. I know that was built in Unity. That's just one of them, but there's tons of games get built in Unity. It's a really good IDE to use. But what's interesting about this Lego minigame is you can build your own little mini Lego games inside inside Unity, which I just thought was kind of neat. So you can build and customize a 3D game in under an hour with this. So it's kind of just taking and building like a little mini Lego game inside of Unity. So you're not going to build anything epic, but at least something fun to mess around with. So anybody's interested in game development, it might be something. And you like Legos, it's just something fun.
When I read this, I immediately thought of Minecraft and Roblox. Like, I don't know how close that is, but, you know, there's just like you think of Roblox, you know, there's thousands of mini games inside Roblox that people just build because it's basically the same thing, you know?
Yep. Yeah, I think that's what this is. It's similar to that.
Kyle, do you want to talk a little bit about your cloud gaming experience on the Switch?
Yes, so I downloaded and played the demo of Control, which I have never played Control before, And when I downloaded and played it on the Switch, we uploaded one of the playthroughs that I did. It is a timed demo, and be very clear about this. Anybody who's interested in playing this, it is timed in the aspect of you have however many minutes. I don't even know how many minutes it was. I think maybe 10. But it's literally like once you've used up those 10 minutes on the there's two versions you can play. You can play the graphics enhanced version or the performance enhanced version. You can play both, and you get a time demo on both. But once that time's up, you can't go back and replay the demo, which is a little frustrating. But it's a demo. I mean, that's the point. It's a demo. They just want you to try it and play it. And the entire demo, you can literally press the minus and plus button at any time to bring up the eShop. It has it throughout the entire demo on the side because they are really pushing you to go play it. But so I played through both, and the graphics mode had better looking textures on everything. Like the textures were much more fleshed out. They looked really good. I preferred the performance mode. Just I thought it looked cleaner playing through. But I will say I'm just utterly impressed with the scope of it. I didn't expect it to play that well. Like I downloaded the demo. It was less than 60 seconds to download. Like playing it was quick. The load times were almost not there. Like I'm just shocked at how well it played on the Switch. Now, mind you, it's just the demo, so I'm sure they only load up so much of the game and whatever, so there's only so much that they're actually streaming to your Switch, but it is thoroughly impressive. Like, with this cloud tech that Nintendo have, I didn't expect this from Nintendo. Xbox, I've played xCloud, I have my phone, I've played xCloud on my phone, and it's impressive. Like, I think that's good. My complaint was always the screen size. Switch is a great size. I've always never had a problem with my Switch. Whatever, I can play on my Switch and it's not an issue. Screen size, that's a perfect, a screen shouldn't be smaller than that to play a game. But I didn't expect it to be that good. And I was telling Mike and Katie earlier that, like, if this technology continues, like, I will gladly buy games for my Switch that I would normally buy on Xbox or PS4 or PS5 or Xbox Series X, PC, whatever. Like, I prefer to play on my Switch. That's my preference as far as a system in my household. If I can play it on Switch, I will. Just because I can pick my Switch up, I can plop down on the couch, my family and I can watch TV, we can do whatever, and I can play Switch. I not have to take over the TV, which is always, and that's not like a thing, but it's like, it's kind of like, if I can play here and I can continue playing, we continue watching a show we're watching together or just hanging out with everybody. I mean, I prefer that. But with cloud, that means we actually may have this tech there to play games that the Switch can't handle. Does that mean we're getting Cyberpunk on the Switch? I doubt it. But I'd buy it.
Yeah, that's a good point about the Switch not being able to handle that. That is a thing. It's like, I don't know if you've ever done this before, but you know how the vents are at the top of the Switch when you're in handheld mode? Sometimes I just, like, rest it against, like, my face or something. Like, I'm, like, looking down at one of my cats or something. Like, I'll, like, look over the top of it, and the vents are, like, blowing out. It's, like, really hot air. But I don't know where it was. So with these, the Switch, they had to put the components in it that were portable but also powerful enough to, like, do these games. And this is where the Switch is going to fall behind in the next gen because, like, the Switch can't play, Cyberpunk, but when they got the cloud gaming, that's a game changer. So now there's been a lot of rumors this year about, like, a 4K Switch Pro or whatever coming out next year. There's nothing that's been confirmed by Nintendo or anybody. Just rumor at this point. But there was a leak a couple months ago about Switch saying to go ahead and telling developers that they can go ahead and make their games 4K ready. So everybody thought that was pointing towards a new Switch. And obviously you're still not going to be able to get 4K on the Switch because of the screen and whatever.
Yes.
But, like, this is huge. Hitman 3 is another one that they're doing the cloud gaming for. Both of those games are, Hitman 3 is not, I don't think it's out yet at all, but Control is used for benchmarking computer parts a lot. Because it's really hard on this. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
It's really hard. There's a lot going on the screen, and it's really hard for the GPU and the CPU to, like,
it's like a
put
newer
out all
Crisis,
of that stuff.
right?
So, yeah. Not really.
No, yeah.
Because Crisis was more graphically intense. Control's more like CPU intense.
Gotcha.
There's just a lot going on at the same time. So, I've never played Control, even though I own it. This is the story of my life. But Control is a big game. I never would have thought I saw that on Switch because there's just too much going on at once for the Switch to be able to handle it. But now that they're all floating all of that power that they need onto some sort of cloud server. But I do want to say another rumor that was going around this year was that xCloud would find its way to Switch. And that seems a lot less likely now that Switch is doing their own cloud service.
Well, but maybe
or
not.
Or their cloud versions of games. They're going with the Stadia model where you buy the game and just play the cloud version. But it's on your Switch.
Well, and there was rumors about GamePass on Switch as well. There was all those rumors for a long time about that. And to be honest, like, I got ecstatic when I heard that. I was like, please give me another thing to put games on. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
GamePass, just, if I can put that on my Switch.
Free games?
Why not? I mean, it's Netflix of gaming, man. I mean, it just works. I liked it. I'm impressed. I didn't expect it to play as well as it did. I was definitely very skeptical, but it's a good proof of concept, if anything else. And I think Nintendo needs that right now. Because, I mean, let's be honest about Nintendo. Nintendo's not cranking out, like... It's not cranking out Cyberpunks. Like, that's just not how Nintendo rolls. Now, mind you, you can play Witcher 3, and there are... Not just say there aren't more, no more heroes and stuff like that. Like, Nintendo has a history of releasing some games that are a little more mature or whatever, but the main market for Nintendo is Mario games, kids games.
Family games, yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with those. Like, I picked up the last Paper Mario. It wasn't what I wanted it to be, but I played it. It's fine.
So boring.
Yeah, it was fine. I put it down pretty quickly. It was fine, but it was fun. It was closer to Thousand Year Door than the rest of them have been, but not as good as that. But yeah, like those kinds of things, I can see that being good in the long run. It leaves Nintendo to be able to have so much more, and it's like the Switch needs help with games, though. I mean, my God, how many indie games drop on that thing every day? Like, it's
20, 50, yeah.
I mean, like the Switch needs help.
Hotbed.
It's been one of the fastest selling systems, and especially during 2020. It's one of the fastest. Animal Crossing, good lord, I think I'm over 300 hours in Animal Crossing now. I may be closer to 4. Like,
yeah, I think this is the hugest thing is that for people that are single console households now, you don't have to worry about like, oh, I bought this Switch for my kid to play, but I also was planning on playing games on it, but the game that came out that I wanted isn't on Switch, so I guess I'm going to have to buy myself a PS5 or Xbox Series X. Now you don't have to worry about that. You can just play the cloud version on your kid's Switch. I think this is fantastic. I think this is an incredibly smart move on Nintendo's part. I can't believe that this wasn't leaked or rumored prior to it happening.
Would anybody have believed it? I wouldn't have believed it.
2020 has been so bad for leaks that this is just like...
Ain't nothing else to
also,
talk
correct
about.
me if I'm wrong. If this was leaked or rumored, please go ahead and post in the comments because it could be wrong. But I follow a lot of video game news, and I never saw it before it happened. So,
if I had, I wouldn't have paid attention to it because I never thought, like, I've seen Control and I was like, that looks fun, whatever, and I just kind of moved away from it. I was like, yeah, that's something I'll play at some point, but
yeah,
I kind of want to pick it up now for the Switch just to see, like, it's like, oh, well, actually, in the demo, did exactly what it was supposed to do. It made me go, like we were talking about last time, with when you play that demo, and they're like, now you want to pay for it? I'm like, I kind of want to pay for it just because I kind of want to see if this if this quality of the cloud streaming holds up in the full version.
Yeah.
That's my question is it still there too? I'm sure it is, but
well, my thing is I'm still team physical. So I am not going to play cloud gaming games because there's no physical copy. But
I will.
I don't have to because I have other systems to play them on. And
sure.
I don't really have the problem with you do of like having to share my TV with my family. Like it's just me and my boyfriend and we have 2 separate TVs that we can both game on.
Well, I mean, so, like, yeah, no, and that's not as much. I mean, now I can go in my office and play games too. It's not that. It's just that I prefer, like I said,
my office is my dining room, which is also my living room.
Yeah, so
But no, I see what you're saying. Like, yes, I agree that the Switch is incredibly convenient. Like, you can, like, if I'm playing a game on Switch, I will absolutely sit on my couch with my boyfriend while he's playing something else on the TV. But he won't do it the other way around because he can't see on
sure.
the screen that's too small or whatever. He's like, "It gives me a headache," but whatever. So yeah, we're not going to do any cloud gaming just because we don't have to. But I think it really is a great, fantastic feature for those people that do have a need for that. I think it fills a void that the Switch has, and I think that it fills a giant need that the Switch has.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to help Switch keep up with the next gen systems that everybody was expecting the Switch to fall behind because they're not going to get the titles because it just can't do it.
Yeah. The caveat being, of course, is that you have to have internet. You have to have a good internet connection playing it. That is the only caveat of cloud gaming, but that's kind of that's why xCloud on this makes more sense, because you have 4G on this. I don't have 4G on my Switch, so I can't take that on a plane.
Right.
But as we've discussed before, physicals are typically what I'd use for that. That is a situation where physicals are great. Physicals are great for plane rides and stuff like that, as rare as I have to do those. So.
My internet sucks, and I really feel like Stadia did okay on Wi-Fi. I don't know how you feel about your home internet, but
my home internet's pretty good. Like, pretty good. I think my Switch is... I don't think I can test the Switch. I don't know that there's an up-down test on it, or I haven't tried to. But I mean, my router's literally right there in my office, and I know I can hit like up to 300 megs down. So, and upload speed's important too. So, but it's.
I guess I need to try the control demo to get a real test because my internet's trash.
I'm curious.
Mike, as our resident non-Switch haver, what you think?
I thought it was a beautiful game. I watched the demo that we uploaded to our channel this week that Kyle played. I watched it about 2 or 3 times, and it looked flawless. I didn't see any lag between him playing and the reactions. I didn't see any real load time besides what you thought between gameplay and cutscenes. It looked seamless. I was very impressed.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's impressive. I did not expect it to be as good as it was. Like, I'm very impressed that Nintendo's the one doing that. Like, I expected that from Microsoft. I expected it from Microsoft.
Yeah.
But they've been talking big game about xCloud for years. So Stadia, I still just... And I own a Pixel. Like, I'm a Google fan. I still don't own Stadia, and I won't. I don't want it. But it's not for me. Like, I feel like there's a market for all of these, right? And this isn't for me. Like, I'm not Stadia's main market.
See, the difference is that I'm not Nintendo Cloud Games main market at all. But I still understand that this is a fantastic idea, and I'm glad that it's happening. Versus Stadia, I don't get the idea, and I'm not glad that it's happening.
Well,
so
it extends the Switch's life. I mean, Nintendo's
absolutely
figured out a way to extend the Switch's life cycle. Brilliant on them. Leave it to Nintendo to figure out how to keep a workhorse going. Because, I mean, 3DS, how long was the DS to 3DS? That
15 years or something like that. Yeah.
Insanely long run. Like, I remember picking a DS up in college. I remember buying a 3DS for my kids. Like, and it was still the same game lines, right? DS games? No, were 3DS games different? There was an upgrade, wasn't
3DS, there? Yeah. So DS games were playable on the 3DS, but not the other way around. And then there was the new 3DS, which we won't get into, where there was only like a handful of games that needed a new 3DS.
Why do you have such terrible naming conventions? I love you, Nintendo, but please get better. That's why the Wii U died, because you named it the Wii U.
It didn't die, it never took off.
It was dead on arrival. I bought one, but I knew I was going to buy one. I was ecstatic to get one. I love my Wii U, but I won't talk about it.
We all have a Wii U. Interesting.
Yeah, it was a good system, man. Good games. I'll defend it till I die.
That's like the only system we all have.
Besides an Xbox.
Yeah.
Well, no, because we all have different Xboxes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because there was only one. Well, there were 2 models of the Wii U.
Were there?
There are 2 models.
I don't know. Mine's black.
Mine's black
technically
too.
Pat's. It's black.
There's a white one too. I think the white one had a smaller hard drive.
Oh.
That was the only difference. It was hard drive differences.
That's not a real difference.
It's not a real difference, but it was like I said, cosmetically, I think the white one had a smaller hard drive and the black one had a bigger hard drive. That's all it was.
That tracks. I actually have an external hard drive for my Wii U.
God, you kind of needed one. I remember when I had to install Breath of the Wild, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to delete some stuff.
Yeah, and it's like weird. You have to get one with like an independent power source because the USB cables or some the USB ports are like jacked or something. I don't know. I read a bunch of articles on it. And it like cuts on like every hour, even when the Wii U's not on for some reason. So you like hear the fan turn on and you hear it cut off. It's kind of unnerving when you're like alone in the living room or whatever. But all right, thank you everybody for joining us. Hope you had a good time. We certainly had a good time. Sean might be back next week. We don't really know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell us how you feel about us as individuals or as a team. You know, any feedback is appreciated. All the bad stuff, good stuff alike. We don't care. We're trying to learn as we go. Click that bell if you want the notifications. We try to post videos every day. And I hope that you guys all have a fantastic first week in November. Daylight saving time's over. I'm upset about it. Whatever. Good night.